Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mindy Jo News Show, where I share news that you can absolutely use. Let's get right to it. I'm honored to have a conversation with the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Indeed.
All right, let's get right to it. As we approach the 50th anniversary March in Washington, do you believe we have made a dent in the benchmark for equality if we are still fighting for the same rights of 1963?
We made a substantial mark, but we should not confuse the first down with the touchdown, so to speak. In 1963, we lived under radical racial anarchy, apartheid. Texas across to Florida, Maryland, we could use a single public toilet. We've been biased in the front row of Howard Johnson and in the room of all the black soldiers. Second time, lots of prisoners of war on a regular basis. That has changed. There was not a black juror in the South. We didn't have the right to vote. So that was humiliating, and it was barbaric. And Dr. King's, the first phase of the dream was to end barbarism. 1964, the dream was to get legislation to make that behavior toward us illegal. We wanted that. Next the dream was of the right to vote. 65, blacks couldn't vote. White women couldn't show up jury. There's no white woman on the Supreme Court, or any woman on the Supreme Court. 1970, 18-year-olds defined the vote was serving in Vietnam, also in Vietnam. You could vote on campuses. You vote bilingual, that changed. In 66, the dream was open housing in Chicago markets. 67, the dream had a lot to do with the political campaign. The king said that it's not right to end the war on poverty at home and end the war in Vietnam. It was in fact reverse that. And end the war in Vietnam, the drive the war on poverty. And we can measure by how to treat people who's back against the wall. The dream of 62 was excitement, it was on the up. It was, I had a dream. The dream of 68 was respect. I may not get that with you, but we would get that because he felt that the dream had been attacked with war over peace and killing over healing.
Okay. Currently, Ward 8 in Washington, D.C. is suffering with over 50% of the ward unemployed and also suffering with diabetes and things of that nature. What suggestions, if any, can you offer the mayor, Vincent Gray?
Well, since D.C. is under occupation, what challenge we offer to Congress and the White House? You see, we're free but not equal. 31 cities, black unemployment is above 40%. 6 above 50%. In New York, where the mayor's talking about stopping first, profiling blacks, so you're stopping employ, stopping provide health care, stopping in-home foreclosures, and stopping give us equal opportunity. That's the stopping needs to take place. When President Barack Obama speaks and Clinton, they must address, it seems to me, the vast ignorance of poverty that Dr. King talked about his last address. His last address was not in Washington, not Atlanta, it was Memphis. They organized working for people, organized God's workers, organized those who work but still could not get benefits for their work. And I think that the comparison should not be Dr. King and President Obama. Dr. King is in the line of Frederick Douglass. President Obama is in the line of Abraham Lincoln, and Roosevelt, and Reagan, and Bush, Kennedy. He's a president. What will the response be to this kind of flight on at the speech? Johnson's response to Howard University in 1965 was, we did a civil rights movement. He said blacks have been on the bonus 300 years, they couldn't hit the ground equal. We had to have some plan to close the gap, to catch up. Some plan for, Johnson started the Public Foundation Bill, the right to vote, Head Start, daycare, breakfast feeding programs, Medicare, Medicaid, strengthening Social Security, all that's under Mayor Johnson. He is too little appreciated. He did so much That's one piece of social legislation. So we need to hear the dynamics between addressing appropriation and legislation and civil rights enforcement, not just motivation.
Okay. Voters registration is a serious issue for the Rainbow Push Coalition. And recently, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the Voting Rights Act. Do you feel this is a major setback for the African Americans?
Think about it gets struck down Section 4, which means that it's like, if I use this analogy, they leave us with the car, but they take away the key. Without the key, then it means the Southern states will run amok again. That's what we need. The constitutional protected right to vote. We have the constitutional right to bear arms, but not to vote. Because it is implied in the 15th Amendment, not stated explicitly. So we need the amendment to the Constitution to the right to vote to protect them, not to go back to states. We need to abide the war on poverty, the equal rights of women, we need urban reconstruction. We need student loan debt forgiveness. Things that really matter to people who are really jeopardized.
As far as the challenges that have been set for voter identification, what solutions or suggestions can you offer to the voters? You know, do you suggest that they go now to go try to obtain an ID versus waiting to the last minute?
We'll keep protesting, keep fighting. We win some, we lose some, but we don't fight, we lose every time. We'll be down court suits, as there is in Texas even now. There'll be challenges in North Carolina. I hope President Obama, the first session after Labor Day, will be a session prioritizing the protected right to vote. After all, the right to vote reserves all other rights. Judges, police conduct, legislatures, appropriation, war and peace, all come from the power of vote. So of all the things we must consider, restoring the right to vote, constitutionally protected, I think was my first priority.
Okay, thank you for that. Most people know you as Reverend Jesse Jackson. However, you're also known as the Great Unifier. What suggestions can you offer as alternatives for recently released incarcerated persons with transitioning into society, such as job placement, housing, and now they seem to be closing down and cutting spending for historic black colleges, such as the University of the District of Columbia. Do you think that this is a conscious decision for rebuilding the African American community?
Well, you raised several questions.
Okay.
One, black colleges should be strengthened and expanded, not cut back. With the Parent Plus law, black colleges lost $160 million unconscionably. This should not have happened. Some of Pell Grants cut. It hurt us tremendously. Student loan debt is not good with credit card debt. And so a major stimulus would be to unleash students in college trying to stay, trying to graduate. And then when they get out, they should have a job. Secondly, the idea of education is critical to wipe out the other maladies that we're facing. And I would hope that the students at UBC would be a present force with academic excellence. At the end of the day, strong minds break strong chains. Dr. King was a scholar activist. I remind you, finished high school at age 15. He'd done an essay on the Negro in the Constitution at age 14. Finished high school at 19, college at 19. He finished seminary at 22. He got his PhD at 26. He was very prepared for the struggle. And his courage and his preparation correspond. That's what made him so very powerful, so very different.
Is mass incarceration and school closure the agenda for progression in the African American community?
Increasingly so. The jails for profits. No other country in the world does this. That in Cook County Jail is profit out there, for example. There are some who've been in jail, pre-trial detention, waiting for trial 5 years. It violates every human rights law in the world. Increasing prison labor. In Florida, 80% of prison was made 25 to 50 cents an hour in the labor force. The two private equity firms own two prisons collect telephone calls, $1.5 billion a year. Exploitation of prisons, whether it's telephones or labor or pretrial detention, and targeted racial profiling was a big deal. It's part of the fight of my time. And when you lock youth out of school and expel them disproportionately and suspend them, you're sending them to jail because there's no place else for them to go. Remember, jail is a homeless shelter. It's a jail hotel. We must, as a society, be sensitive to that and go another way.
Thank you for that. Are organizations such as the SLCC, Urban League, NAACP, and the National Action Network effectively leading people for equality, or have they been partially engaging?
Well, they've been totally engaging. It's just against great odds. I mean, you had the big mobilization for the march in Washington this past 24th of August because these organizations rallied. You had massive voter turnout last fall because they rallied. And so oftentimes without substantial resources, they're on the spirit will and guts, they keep fighting back. Brother King had a very small staff, we should call it for campaign rich message. So those lights of the darkness are very valuable for our people.
We have overcome, however, we still have work to do. Do you believe that President Obama has been an effective leader, considering he's the first diverse American president?
I'm not sure whether this is characteristic that matters the most, in the sense that even almost we had lost $4 million for losing $800,000 a month. He turned that around. We're now in net gain of jobs. And more Americans have health protection now. We're out of the war in Iraq now. It's still unfinished business there, but we're out of the war officially. The automotive industry has been bailed out. It's back now. So against tremendous odds and hostility, he's done that and will do more. But we the people must keep the pressure on, because it's not just his disposition that matters, it's his position that matters. When we the people speak, the president must respond to a legitimate demand, but we must have legitimate demands. That's why our demand of equal rights amendment for women, our demand of constitutional right to vote, our demand of a war on poverty being revived, must put forth a demand structure from the people.
And has President Obama set the tone for more minorities to consider running for president?
Well, this is an old idea. He is the crown jewel of that face of our struggle. But now, other ethnic groups, Latinos are talking about running, a certain primary, women are talking about running, because in something we want to unleash possibilities of that environment. And people from many persuasions that they can make it. And that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you for that. As of 2013, how many inner city youth has the Rainbow Push Coalition, the youth that have joined your organization, benefit from your program with keeping them in school and assisting with job placement?
We have over 200 in college. Okay. And we give away about $500,000 in scholarships every year. That's how we benefited. They learn to register and vote. They've engaged in more civic engagement. That's what they've learned. And those are key lessons to becoming next generation leaders.
And that actually follows into my next question. What does it take to be an effective leader? And who are our current leaders as we continue to push for justice and equality?
Well, people that live, the leading is preparation, the will to sacrifice, the will to lead, and to become trustworthy. People trust you, know you like you, they'll support you. You know you're leading a congregation, or leading a university, or leading a street demonstration. You must be known, trusted, and liked. And you see it all around the nation. There's some young mayors, some 35, some young city council people, some young Congress people, leaders that broad-based leadership in America today. Lots of young people. The students, the defense of the DREAM Act down at the University of Tallahassee, Marlon, for example. A good example of young people fighting to make something happen.
Okay, thank you for that. Should Americans be forced to learn Spanish on the job here in America?
We ought to learn it, not because we're forced, but because it's smart. English is a minority language in our hemisphere. Two-thirds of our neighbors speak Spanish. And of course, half billion or so speak Portuguese in Brazil. And so learning more than one language you have to because we're smart. English is a great language, but Jesus didn't speak it by the way. And we should not be language locked in temperance, arrogance. Two-thirds of this hemisphere, two-thirds speak Spanish. We want to trade with them, relate with them as our neighbors. We should share languages. Young Latinos should learn to speak English, and young Americans should learn to speak Spanish, and develop us better off and more security.
Thank you. Recently, the National Action Network hosted a 50-year anniversary on August 24th, 2013. I'm not sure if your speech was cut short or not, but there was some chanting from the crowd. Currently, how is your relationship with Reverend Al Sharpton? And do you agree with his agendas? And are you aware of any strategies he has in place to take America to the next level?
Well, there's shared strategies. We all have a shared commitment to voter rights extension, a shared commitment for jobs, a shared commitment for justice. So long as we have this shared agenda, we're all better off. We work together, we're strong, and we work together all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the news I have. You can absolutely use for today, August 27th, 2013. Thank you so much.